Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm just going to do this quick video before I get on with doing the full moon in Honorata reading that's going to be over on Empress Justice Tarot Instagram, where I'm going to do it live. So after this video, if you've been following my Empress Justice Tarot channel, you can go ahead and head over there for the reading. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is to give you an update on what's been happening since I did that video on the blood clots, and on also on the air embolisms. So it's blood embolisms, blood clots and air embolisms that I was primarily worried about the last time I spoke to you guys. So ahead of time I decided to list some places that I've been heavily connected to, so that in the case of my death they can just investigate the places at the specific times that I was there, and they can find at least one gang stalker that was involved in this murder that has involved several organizations, several councils, several neighborhood watches, you name it. It's involved several different organizations and businesses and what have you, right? So that's just so anybody interested in investigating gang stalking can follow a bread trail and see exactly what's happened over my life that actually caused my death. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that was the purpose of me revealing all the names of places that I've actually been in my life, because they were all involved via specific individuals in my murder. I don't know if I mentioned Cricklewood. Add Cricklewood to the list. That's going to be important. So I'm going to leave a link to that specific video in the description. Now, with that out of the way, I've got to tell you about what's been going on with me. As you can hear, I'm short of breath, and I do have, like, one of my legs is more swollen than the other. So I have all the telltale signs of a blood clot or an air embolism. I do have all the telltale signs, but there's something else that I have to tell you. With the electronic weapons have been firing at the back here, because that gives... Sorry about that, everyone. So weapons have been fired back here, because back here where the shoulder blades are, it gives the weapons easy access to the lungs. So they've been firing at my lungs in a bid to damage the lungs. If you look at Jaguar Wright's interview with Real Life Productions, I think it's the one where she's in the white pajama suit, and she talks about Whitney Houston. She says that her voice box, towards the end of her life, her voice box wasn't damaged at all. It was actually her lungs that were damaged. That's a similar situation here. My throat is fine, I can still sing, but it's back here that was attacked by the weaponry. And I'd be willing to bet the same thing happened to Whitney, because how do you smoke that much and your throat isn't damaged but your lungs are? That doesn't make any sense. So that's the first thing about... oh, what's going on with my eyes? Oh boy. Okay, so first of all, I've been hit back here with the electronic weaponry. Second thing, I was being hit on my heart quite heavily yesterday. The third thing is I was hit at certain parts of my brain. I've been hit in my legs, like, over the last few days, which is why I'm getting the swelling. I've also been hit in my arm. So all of these things are meant to mimic blood clots, or the effects of blood clots. All of them are meant to mimic the effects of blood clots, enough to be worrying me enough to get me into the hospital so that they can take a blood test, or inject more nanotechnology into me so they can track me. Because that's what they've been doing to a lot of TIs. Remember, we're experimentees. We're unlawful experimentees into defense systems and pharmaceuticals. Hi everyone, I'm just sorting out my laundry while I talk to you guys, because this keeps cutting out, so I'm not dawdling. So basically, fired back here, fired at my heart, fired at my head, fired on my arm. Over the last few days, fired on my legs, all to recreate the effects of having blood clots, because the gang stalkers know my internet history. They know I've been looking. So what they've decided to do, seeing as they know I've been looking up the symptoms of how you can tell if you've got blood clots in specific areas, they decided to mimic that, which is why I'm short of breath now. Hi everyone, sorry, I'm just cleaning up my flat. So if the gang stalkers know that I've been looking up all the symptoms to how I know that I have blood clots, so it's very easy from there to take the information that I've looked up online and to actually mimic the effects of blood clots via electronic weaponry, because that's what they like to do. If you are worried about a particular issue as a targeted individual, especially as a result of the kind of stance that they've been pulling, what they'll do is they will heighten that to try to put you in a... Sorry, I'm just making my bed. So that's what the gang stalkers do. They weaponize your concerns against you to try to steer your behavior in a completely advantageous direction to them. Like I said before, the purpose that hospitalization serves is getting your blood samples and further injecting you with nanotechnology. So that's basically what's been going on. I'm sorry for all the cut. Sorry about that, everyone. The connection's been really poor due to EE actually doing maintenance works from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I actually called them yesterday and that's what they said was happening. So, and as I'm filming this, it is just gone past 5:45. So it should be a bit more steady now, although I'm not holding my breath. But that's exactly what these people do. They take a concern of yours. So that's what they do. They take what you're concerned about and then they weaponize it against you. Like I said, the hospitalization serves a purpose. You can get your blood samples. Sorry, everyone. So that's what they do. Weaponize your concerns against you to try to get you hospitalized, to get your blood samples, and to get nanotechnology injected into. What I'm going to say is that if you prepare for the event of your death, then you don't have anything to worry about. As a targeted individual, the second that you find out you are a targeted individual, that's what you have to prepare for. You have to prepare for the event of your death, because the truth is you'll go through a lot of pain, you'll go through a lot of debilitation. And in my case, when you start to worry about your health or start to become concerned about your health, there will be a number of techniques and tricks used to mimic the illness that you're worried about, so that you'll end up going into hospital and again giving them those wonderful blood samples and having them fill you with that wonderful nanotechnology. Okay, it can be airborne as well, but it can also be injected. I've been scanned for implants and apparently I have like 2 implants, but 2 of them are broken off in places. So that's something to look out for. That's exactly what gang stalkers will use when it comes to what you're worried about, what you're concerned about. They'll mimic the illnesses. They'll mimic the symptoms of the illnesses that you're worried about getting, just so that you can worry yourself enough to go into hospital. But I've said before that if it comes to that, I would rather die in my flat. I've already made that decision, because the way the public NHS services are at the moment, the way the public hospitals are, you have to remember my mum ended up dying. My mum died in hospital. And before that, there was another hospital stay that she had where she came into hospital with a minor complaint. Next thing you know, she was on the hospital floor. My brother found her. My brother found her in the most disgraceful condition, and she wasn't conscious at all. She was barely conscious by the time we got to her. So she went into hospital with my uncle, I believe. She went into hospital, and then when my brother got to her, she was barely conscious, and she was in just the worst condition in A&E. And that was a vulnerable woman who had been under the treatment of Brent's public health service for basically all her life, and she was 64 when she died. So if and if it's that bad in London, you can imagine what it's like down here in Brighton. Absolutely not. If it comes down to that I genuinely do have clots and aneurysms, I will try as much as I can to deal with it myself. And if it worse comes to worse, if I end up dying, I'm staying here. I'm staying here in my house. There is no fucking way. I don't care what the gang stalkers want. I don't care what the NHS wants. I don't care what mental health wants. All they have to do is look at the news and look at the condition of their hospitals and look at how short-staffed they are and look at how elderly women who have had heart attacks can end up waiting for a whole day to be seen. So I'm not putting myself through that. If worse comes to worse and I actually do get blood clots because of these, and I have had air pockets. I've had air embolisms, remember? I've had them. So if it gets to that stage and I end up dying because of this, coercive murder, which I will at some point, maybe not now, but they've already murdered me. So if I end up dying at some point, then I will die in my home. I'm not about to die in no fucking hospital. Ain't no way. But that's exactly what TIs need to be aware of. And I know it's morbid. I understand that it's morbid. But the sooner you make your arrangements, I don't care if you're terminal or not. You could be as fit as a fiddle. Make your arrangements the second you find out you're a targeted individual. Because if you don't make your arrangements the second you find out, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to protect your possessions once you're gone and leave them in the hands of trustworthy people. Because once deputyship abuse comes into it, and it can come into it when you're a TI, it's rare in this country, but deputyship abuse can come into this via the paranoid schizophrenia diagnosis. They can try to annex your resources. They can try to annex your property. So this is especially important if you own assets. The second you find out you're a TI, make a fucking will. And have a power of attorney of somebody that you truly trust. That's the most important thing that you can do, because they will debilitate you and they will murder you. Once you're on this program, there's no getting out of the program. Once you're prepared for your death, you can get on with the rest of your life. But that's what you're supposed to do first and foremost. I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd prepared for my death rather than fucking freaking out about it all the time. I wish I'd have done that. Prepare for your death and you won't have to prepare for anything else. You can learn how to deal with the gang stalkers in your own way along the way. As long as you have those two details sorted out, your will and your power of attorney. My mum didn't have that sorted out, so now it's a free-for-all. I'm just saying, as a TI, have that shit sorted out. Okay? And as for me, all those cuts in the video aside, I hope you were able to get everything, because there were a lot of cuts and the reception was very shoddy. I hope you were able to get everything. But bottom line is, I came online talking about potential clots and air embolisms. I came online talking about that. So what the gang stalkers decided to do, what the people in charge of the electronic torture decided to do, was 5 specific parts of my body that were associated with the symptoms of blood clots, because they know I've been looking it up. That was a bid to get me hospitalized, or to have me hospitalized myself, so that they can get blood samples, get me out of the flat so that they can do something else in here and get me injected with nanotech. Have you noticed there's always a nanotech part that starts to cut out and shit? I'm just saying, baby. But that's exactly what they were doing. They were trying to engineer a hospitalization, because that's what they do to you. And also understand that as a targeted individual, you're a torture victim. And one of the symptoms of torture victims is that all their sense of self-preservation is eroded. So every time a TI gets online, even if they get their information wrong, they are most likely not lying to you, because lying is an act of self-preservation. When you as a TI get online, when you as a TI start expressing yourself, it's very, very likely to not be a fucking lie. You might be able to lie to yourself, but you will not be able to lie to other people very effectively. So they will use whatever you express and they will weaponize it against you so that they can try to steer you in whatever direction they want you to go, using your body and using your emotions. One prime example is when I was debilitated on the 24th of January, so I wouldn't know I wouldn't know who the fuck has been in my flat. That's one prime example. So it's things like that that you need to be aware of as a TI. You telling the truth. I'm not saying don't tell the truth, by the way, because let me be honest, right? Let me be frank. If they know what you're doing, then you'll know what they're doing. So I will never ever tell you not to come on here and speak your truth, because not only is that giving them a bloody nose, it's also helping your situation, because if they are following your every move and mimicking what you do, and we have to remember the incorporation of artificial intelligence ain't that intelligent yet. You can stay 2 steps ahead of what they're doing. If everything that they're doing is built on lies, they can't outthink you. It doesn't matter how many times they try to rob you of your self-preservation. They'll never outthink you. Ever. Because everything that they do is built on a fucking lie. Lie upon lie upon lie. And they've robbed you of your self-preservation as a torture victim. So how the fuck are they going to outsmart you? How the fuck are they going to do that? They can't. So... But at the same time, they do try to weaponize whatever truth you speak about yourself, especially if it's online. They've been doing that to me for years. Find out what she rants about. Find out what she, find out. Sometimes they will try to get their tactics from me. Sometimes I'll assume what they're going to do and they will literally use that. That's how unintelligent these perps actually are. Sometimes they will straight up get their tactics from me. As a TI, they will straight up try to get their tactics from you. That's how fucking dumb they are. Please understand. Because the only thing these people know how to do is torture and cause pain or make money. They don't know anything else. Whereas TIs... You've got all kinds of TIs. You've got all kinds. With all kinds of skills, and they have one thing in common. Because they've been robbed of their self-preservation in one sense, we get self-preservation in other ways, such as our intuition, our truth-telling, our agreeability. It allows us to be fluid and move through the cracks of the walls they put in our way. It allows us to do these things. So yeah, at the same time, be aware that they will try to weaponize your inability to properly lie, because they will do that. It's not that you TIs don't lie. It's not that you TIs don't steal. Trust me, I know. Some of you do. But your ability to lie, the effectability of you being able to lie, it's not going to work out well, because first of all, the narcissists that are in charge of harassing us, they're going to point out every lie that comes out of our mouth or every inaccuracy. But then again, even though gang stalking is using your truth against you, once again, it's just another way in which they leave themselves open. Because now, if everything that you say is unassailable, what do they have left? But that doesn't mean they won't try to weaponize it against you. So you need to be aware. You need to be aware. So that's exactly what they've been doing with me. They've done it for years. They're going to continue to do it. I called Samaritans last night. I know they've been monitoring my phone calls to Samaritans. I don't care. I go online or I go on the phone, talk to the Samaritans on the phone, and I spill my guts, and they can take whatever they want from that. But because everything they do is built on lies, they can't outthink me. At the same time, like I said before, be on your guard, because every single thing that you say and do, they're relying on violence to get you to break you open, and then they want you to do the work for them by being honest. So just be aware that that's one way in which they can try to weaponize that against you, to turn you in whichever direction they want, like physically or emotionally, by using violence. By using remote technology to commit violence. But also be aware that their lack of honesty is your main ammunition, because they lack a lot of honesty. Even when they're being honest, they have to tell a lie in there. It's the same weapons that they use against you. The electronic weapons, the nanotech, the AI, the hatred, the lies, the violence. It's those same weapons that they use against you that will be their downfall. It's them attempting to throw you in prison. If you play your cards right, that could be their downfall. They get you into hospital, that could be their downfall. They kill you, that could be their downfall. There are a million ways in which you can use the vulnerability of a targeted individual to your advantage if you're smart. So be smart. Keep an eye on what they're doing, and prepare for your death. I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care if you're sick. I don't care if you're well. You prepare for your death so you can live your life. Hit them where it hurts. Hit them what they need control at all times. Use it. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get on with my tarot reading. I've got my tarot reading to do. And I'm sorry about all the skips in connection and all that stuff. Like, you know, it's difficult. But you do have to kind of navigate these things. And on top of that, again, EE has been doing maintenance work according to EE, according to what they've told me. So forgive all the skips and all that stuff and all the connection shit. That's why I left my reading until the evening to do, because I knew it was going to be all kinds of problems like this. So I love you, my fellow TIs. Peace and blessings, unless there's something else I've forgotten, because I'm not trying to forget anything. No, I don't think I have. If I've forgotten anything, I'll come back to it anyway. You guys know already. And also forgive me if my sentences have been disjointed throughout this video. I've had a lot of weapons fired on my head. And also, I haven't slept very well. So forgive me if my sentences are disjointed or I'm taking forever to get to the point. It just is what it is. You know, forgive me for that. So, we'll talk soon. Peace and blessings. And for those who are subscribed to Empress Justice Tarot or Empress Justice Daily, I will see you over there for the full, well, Empress Justice Tarot. Yeah, I'll see you guys over there for the full moon and Anuradha reading. Peace and blessings. I love you guys so much. On Instagram. I'll see you guys over there on Instagram for the full moon and Anuradha reading. I love you guys. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye, my darlings.